Are you living life, or is life living you? The answer lies in the divine love, healing, and wisdom within you. Welcome to Triple L, the Live, Love, Lotus Show, your podcast to help you consciously create your most incredible life. I'm TLotus, Minister of Spiritual Metaphysics, 7D intuitive healer, Master Lenormand reader, and your host. I've learned how to tap into the power within myself to transform my life, and my divine mission is to help you do the same. Join me every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Time as we explore the wonder that is the magnificence of your power and your life. We'll talk about how to deepen your spiritual wellness and work with universal energy to heal and align your mind, body, and soul. And I'll help you to connect to the answers you seek with spiritual Lenormand readings to guide you along your sacred path. It's time to tap into your magnificence. Are you ready to vibrate higher? Get ready to live, love, lotus. Let's go. Welcome to Triple L, and thanks for tuning in. Today's episode is a special one. It is the first in a series I call Grieving in Gratitude. Grieving in Gratitude is a series I started on my blog, A TLotus Thought, where I share my grieving journey after the loss of my beloved son, my firstborn, Kerry James Hill, to suicide on his birthday, January 1st of 2021. He was 29 years old. And I'm sharing my experience on my blog and on Triple L as a part of my healing journey. My intention with this series is to raise suicide awareness and provide hope and support to the loved ones who are left behind and are on their own grieving journey. So I want to take this time right now to give a trigger warning that this episode and the Grieving in Gratitude series will talk about grief, loss, and the devastation that suicide leaves behind. If you're thinking about suicide, or if you're concerned about a friend or a loved one, there is a toll-free number available 24 hours a day to provide emotional support. Please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. And now, here's Grieving in Gratitude, the pain of losing my son to suicide. So I've been away for the last month. It was an unplanned hiatus that was very much needed. I needed to take the time to really allow myself to feel the waves of grief that inevitably came over me this past month. And I knew that when I started recording again, started podcasting again, that I wanted to share in a real way and talk about my grieving journey and where I am. A lot of people, thank you so much to everyone who has sent me messages and phone calls and emails wanting to know how I am and where I am. I knew I want to talk about this on this podcast. So today will be part one of my Grieving in Gratitude series. Now, Grieving in Gratitude is a series on my blog, A TLotus Thought, the blog. You can check that out, download the KS Media app, and you will have access to the Grieving in Gratitude series. I wanted to bring that to this blog post, and I knew I did not want to talk about this alone. So I invited a really good friend. You've seen her before. She is the founder of the Kornelia Stephanie Media Group. She's my business coach, but she is also my friend. Please welcome back Kornelia Stephanie to Triple L. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Such an honor to be here with you. Always I love doing these podcasts with you and supporting you in your creative expression so that you can do what it is that you're going to do and what you are doing, helping others to rise into their highest and best, right?
Yes, that is the whole goal. The reason why I started Triple L, the reason why I said yes to the KS Media Group is because I wanted this platform to help people vibrate higher. And I say this all the time, that I'm taking my listeners, my viewers, and my members on the journey with me. Um, and so you, Cornelia, has been one of my beautiful goddess sisters that has witnessed me in the deepest of the deep in regards to my grieving journey. And so I wanted to just share, I wanted to talk about it because I know that there are others out there who are going through the same. Whether it's a loss from, a sudden loss of someone close to you, the loss of a job, the loss of life is changing, and we are grieving so many different things. And grief shows up in different ways for all of us. Um, and for me, it showed up in really. I at first I thought it was burnout
Mm.
because of all that that it takes to put these podcasts together. But I quickly discovered that no, it is grief. It has always been grief. This grieving journey. Um, it is the toughest, and there are no English words, Kay, to describe how hard this is. Losing a child is absolutely horrific. Losing a child to suicide just compounds that pain. Losing a child to suicide on the day that you gave birth to him,
Mm.
it's unbearable sometimes. And I found myself in a state of depression, sadness, um, and you were there to see all of that. And but what I've learned is I have to allow my, and it's okay to give myself that time. Um, it's been, so we're in November, so it's been 10 months since he's left. And I've never gone this long without seeing my baby. I've
Yeah.
never gone this long. And everything reminds me of Kerry.
Yeah.
And so for the last month, I wrote about it in my last blog post. My birthday just passed. Um, and I didn't really celebrate because it's the first without him. These are all things um, that I am experiencing with grief. Kay, I know that you've had your own grieving journey, and I wanted to ask, what did it look like for you, and how did you how what did you do to get yourself through? And it doesn't mean get through by yourself. Like, I wouldn't be here today if it were not for you and other very close goddess sisters that I have. But what what um what does grief look like, or has looked like, in your life?
So I want to first say that, what you experienced with losing your son, that has got to be the most hardest for any person, for any mother to feel, to lose her son. You know, first of all, he was vibrant, he was young, and he was gorgeous. And he had such sparkle and such light and such promise. So when we're talking about loss, like there were so many layers to that loss that you're feeling that I mean, it's not like it's all written there. I'm this loss and this loss, like when it comes to that part, the first, the birth date, all the different things, all the things that you loved about him and your relationship and what he was doing in the world, and that it wasn't evident at all that there was anything like that going on with him.
There was
Uh,
no clue.
there was no clue. So it's not like there were signs, or it's not like he had some sort of um, addiction problems or anything like that. There was nothing like that. There was nothing but a beautiful man that was involved in life. He was, you know, showing up. He was curious about the truths, and he was, you know, rising above all of that, like in his life, and everyone loved him. He was loved by many. He was loved by all.
He indeed was. He indeed was. I think for me, you know, my spiritual knowing is really what has kept me from drowning. But even with my spiritual knowing, there's the human side to this, you know, very human. This is a part of our human experience, grieving is. So there's this human side to me that just cannot get over, that this was his decision, that this is what he wanted, and that, I because um, because he was so silent in his struggling, whatever those struggles were, um, you know, he he decided, he made this decision knowing how it would affect me. You know, if there are any parents that have, parents in particular and mothers specifically, who have lost a child to suicide, um, I know that that is a question, the why of it, especially if there were, for Kerry, like you said, Kate, there was no sign, no signal. You know, we saw him on Christmas Day, and it was a beautiful Christmas, even though it was, a COVID Christmas, but he came over and it was beautiful. And then literally a week later, he's gone. Boom.
Mm.
And it's the suddenness of it all. And so during this past month, I find myself, my mind circling back to the whys. There's a spiritual side of me that's it's okay that you don't know the why, or maybe you don't need to know the why, or you'll find out the why when you're aligned with it, meaning when it's time. But okay, I know that part, but that ain't answering my question. Do you know what I mean? So it's the unanswered whys, and it's just the emptiness of his presence physically not being here. The closer it gets to the holidays for me, I knew this, that especially because my mind goes in circles, and for those of you who are listening, who understand, who have experienced, let me know in the comments or message me. Let me know, have you felt this way as well? Your mind just keeps going over it. I don't have the whys, and there was no way that I could stop him, even if I did know the why.
That's
And
true.
and that part of it, as true as it is, that part of it makes me so mad.
Right, right.
it makes me mad as a mom. I don't care how old these babies get. Four of my babies are grown, and then I have Devin, who's going to be 10 soon. Uh, I I'm always going to be mom. I'm always going to want to know that my babies are okay, that they're safe, that they're thriving, that they're happy. And if they're not happy, I want to do what I can to help facilitate that happiness. And I think the fact that Kerry and I had a close relationship and that we talked about everything. You'd be surprised at some of the things we've talked about. Um, usually when boys, especially when they get grown, they kind of, you know, they don't want to talk about their personal lives, but he could come to me about anything. And the fact that he never came to me uh, to tell me what was going on, that he was struggling, or that he was fed up, he was tired, he actually seriously disliked the word tired, so exhausted. Um, but the fact that he didn't come to me, it just hurts me so deeply. Um, and that I also find that the more I push, meaning try to work, try to get a podcast out, try to get business done, try to do the mommy things that mommies do at home. But the more I try to be functional, the more all of those thoughts and the grief just grips me. And I had to just sit down and allow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the grieving journey, is to, because here's the thing about grief. You asked me earlier, how did I, how do I deal, or have I dealt with the grief? Well, the grief requires my full presence of being present with the grief. And how do you deal with it? Like, you feel it, like you dive all the way into it, and you're just present with the pain. Pretty much that is it. It requires all of your being to really fully sit with it in grief. That is actually the process. That's actually the doing part. So when you're saying, I couldn't be doing this over here and I couldn't be doing this over here, because your full presence is over here sitting with this horrendous loss in waves, that's coming in waves, because you don't know from one moment to the next when another wave is going to hit you, where it's asking you to stop this doing over here and come over here and tend to this grieving with your full presence. And that's the doing.
Yes. Yes. I was on Diane McClay's podcast, the Diane McClay Show. Had such a wonderful time on her show. And we talked about making the choices that we make when it comes to grief. And I remember one of the questions she asked me was, what is the difference between how you handle low vibration before versus now? Before I wouldn't do anything like this. I wouldn't be sharing publicly. I wouldn't even reach out to my friends. I kind of would just sit with it, but deal with it by myself. And the difference now is, first of all, sharing in this way. And, I've gotten so many messages that, that I'm helping others just by telling my story.
Right.
And that fulfills me. It's a part of my healing to do so. And I feel like I've been chosen somehow to share and radiate my experience to help others in their healing journey. And but I couldn't do it in the way that I want to do it, like we're doing right now, without being present in it. And that's what the month of October was all about. It was, like I said, an unexpected hiatus, but very much needed because uh, before the difference, before I would keep going. I would keep going, keep going, keep pushing, keep pushing. That's just my nature. And no matter what I did to keep pushing, spirit was like, you need to be here and now. You need to feel this. You need to understand this. Um, this is hard. It is so hard. It is hard because, when someone passes away, no matter how they pass away, the family is supported. The family, the first month, maybe 2 months, especially after the funeral, there's before the funeral, there's so much outpouring of condolences, love, and support. And then it gets quiet after the funeral, or after, in my case, after the viewing, things slowly got quiet and life continues. Life moves forward. And I'm looking around and it's like, oh, Devin has to go to school. Oh, we have a doctor's appointment over here. You got to put gas in the car. We need groceries. All of the normal, regular things that we, that no one really thinks twice about in their day, all of a sudden it has become a tedious task for me. Grief is heavy, and it weighs down. It's a weight on your energy. And for me, I had to find a way to release the heaviness, which is why I'm so grateful to you for all of those late night talks. And, the reason why I write about it, the reason why we're talking today about it. I don't really know what else to say.
Well, I have a few things to say.
Yes.
So, part of, like, when you said, life still goes on, the doctor's appointment, gas in the car, Devin still has to go to school. These are all actionable steps that need to be taken because, like you said, life still goes on. And, you know, a lot of times when we're raising families, we have two people to help out with other things. But in your case, you're all alone. You are the single sole provider in the family. You are the mother and the father, and you are the one that's doing all of the things. You are the one. So that made it even harder, put an additional pressure on you, because that those things all still need to get done. And at the same time, the grief that is the elephant in the room has to also be felt and dealt with. And the only way that we can do that is by being in it and sitting with it. And that's the feeling part, which it's so heavy that it has to be felt, to the point where sometimes you just can't even breathe with this heaviness. It's so thick and it's so dense and it's so painful. It hurts so much that, because all of it is present, your feminine energy fully present, when you're in your masculine energy of putting gas in the car, going over here and doing this, all of these things. But for this particular thing, and I don't want to make it about a masculine and feminine thing, but the being part, the being present with the feeling part. And the reason why I put that masculine and feminine on is because in the old world, in the patriarchal world, in our old world, we have never been trained and taught on how to be fully human and how to feel, and really how to feel the grief, how to feel the pain, whether it is the loss of a job, the loss of a child, the loss of a parent, the loss of a pet, the loss of a relationship. We currently, as a global collective, are feeling the loss of a dying world. And with it comes so much, because not only are systems that are totally unsustainable anymore, that are not supporting us anymore, do we have to feel those losses too, but every single nook and cranny. And if people don't know how to sit with pain and how to be with it by really being present with it, sometimes even more so to where I can't put gas in the car today. I cannot even do this. And that's why having support, and when you mentioned that earlier, having support, you needed that support. So for anyone that is listening, that is experiencing, loss like this, where they need help, find somebody to talk to get help, so that you can tend to what you need to tend to. And a lot of times it's just those things, getting some groceries, getting some gas in the car, getting some of those things done, getting a meal delivered. In the early parts, when you were first, had to deal with Kerry's loss, people were making meals and having meals delivered and bringing meals, and that's when that stops, everything has to, carry on. So, but in the meantime, those waves come in grief, and all of the things that you shared, that the first time the holidays are coming, your first birthday, the things that you guys used to do together, then the anniversary date of his death, all the things are here that are all scary and frightening to feel and deal with.
Yes. And so the next, I just want to tell my powerful manifestors, I love you guys so much. So many beautiful messages of love and support, and all the listeners um, and viewers, that I actually have so much other content that I want to share on Triple L. I want to, talk about the 70 intuitive healing and my readings and manifesting, but I need to do this first. And so this episode, as I said at the beginning, is going to be the first of several episodes, and I have a friend on each episode that is there to support me as I talk. The next one will be with David George Brooks, that gratitude guy, as we talk about grieving during the holidays. It'll be out right before Thanksgiving. So, what I want to say to you, Kornelia, is I just want to thank you once again. I just want to thank you for, I don't know, as an empath. And so you're high vibrational, you're spiritually elevated. So I know it's not a big deal with you, but as an empath, I care so much about how my energy is received. And when I am in those waves, you are not afraid to be there with me and witness that, and to support me, and to give me those words of strength and love and encouragement. I want to thank you so, so, so much for that, because um, powerful manifestors, you need good people in your life, high vibrational people in your life. And then once you have those high vibrational people in your life, you need to be open to reach out and to share and to be vulnerable. That it's okay. It's okay if you don't want to talk, but if you do, reach out to someone that is close to you, that is high vibrational. I also will have some numbers at the end of this episode for support if you don't have anyone to talk to. But it is very important that you be open to feel your grief, which is what the past month, and you know what, it's going to continue. The closer we get to January, the more I will feel this, but that it is okay. It is okay if you are depressed. Grieving causes, depression. And I don't mean depression in the clinical sense. I don't subscribe to the clinical sense, but we do feel depressed. Our emotions feel, we're sad. We are grieving a loss. And I thought that when my father passed away, 17, 18 years ago, that would be like the deepest grief, because I'm an only child and I'm a daddy's girl. But nothing compares to losing a child, and nothing compares to losing a child by suicide in this way. So I want to thank all of you. Before we end, I do want to give details on Kerry's memorial service that I will be holding on December 7th at 12 p.m. Pacific time. I didn't have a time up until a few days ago. And for all who are listening, whether you knew Kerry or not, if there is a message of love that you would like to send to the family, if you have any memories about Kerry, any pictures, um, any videos, if you would like to maybe record a short message to be included in this service, um, please email me. It's right here at the bottom of the screen. Email me, and I am asking for all of those to be in by December 1st. And so in subsequent episodes, you will see a commercial with all of the details, and I'll talk about it a lot. I was not able to have a memorial for Kerry, was only able to have a viewing with about 10 people. And there were so many people who wanted to be at his memorial that we were planning. So this is my way of doing this, and so I wanted to make that official announcement. Please send to me anything that you have or anything that you would want to have. Also, if you would like to support the production of this episode or this memorial, there at the end of this episode is ways that you can send a love gift. You can do it by CashApp or PayPal, and also the GoFundMe page that was set up for Kerry at the beginning of the year is still active, and all of those links will be in the description. You can pledge a love gift in any of those ways, and I thank you so much in advance. Any amount would be a great help. So anything else?
Yeah,
Yes.
can I say something? So the date is December the 7th at 12 noon Pacific time.
Yes.
Is there a reason why you chose that particular date to?
Yes. December 7th is my father's birthday. My father, James Kerry Hill, and my son, Kerry James Hill, are now together. And after sitting with Spirit for a while about it, I thought that it's like a complete circle, you know?
Yeah.
Started with my father, ended with my son. So
you know what I
6th.
think is wonderful about what you're doing with putting the memorial here, and how, of course, everything you do is well thought out and thought about, and there's purpose behind it. That's why I asked you, did you pick that date for a reason? I'm glad I asked that. And, I would love to offer to all of us here what it is that we're doing here with this, and supporting you through this process as you go through the rest of this year, and then also coming up in January, that this next phase, that we are celebrating Kerry's life, that we're celebrating Kerry's legacy, that we are remembering the gorgeous, loving human being that Kerry is and was, and that's what we're doing with this momentum now, that we're gathering and really honoring him in a way that you can now, because like you said, you didn't have the memorial before, and now is the time to do it. But that we're framing it with the consciousness that we are celebrating Kerry's life. And
Absolutely.
Mama, you are sitting back, of course, with the grief and the waves of grief that come at any time, day and night. And we know that. But at the same time, we are celebrating a beautiful soul, a beautiful man. And so I would like to
He
leave that.
was a beautiful man. And this Grieving in Gratitude series also, it's about sharing my grieving journey. It's also about celebrating him and celebrating Kerry and the beautiful radiant light that he shared with everyone in this life, and what he's left us has is just beautiful. um so
When I met you, T, I was actually pissed off that I didn't get a chance to know Carrie, because I know that I would have absolutely loved knowing him. So I had to deal with my own anger around that, because it's like I missed
he
out a
would have
lot.
had you in stitches, and as you got to know him more, he would be greeting you with these big hugs. I miss those hugs so much. Miss them so much. I miss those hugs so much. Yeah, he was awesome. And so on December 7th, we are going to celebrate him. We're going to hear some of his music. We're going to
Yay.
hear some stories.
Yay.
I got some good ones, some good stories to tell. And I also have a message of love for those who are suffering in silence, because this celebration of life, I will from now on call it a celebration of life instead of a memorial. This celebration of life will be on YouTube, so anyone will be able to see it.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
you
Every
know,
year you'll be able to, whenever, you'll always be able to. That's a great way to do that.
absolutely, absolutely. And I want, I have a message for those who are suffering in silence and who may be considering leaving this earth. It's a message of love, and that's also next week, next episode. I will talk about this, the love campaign: listen, observe, validate, embrace. Um, so yeah, it's going to be beautiful, and you all are invited. If you would, it's going to be by Zoom. It will be streaming on YouTube. If you would like to attend free of charge, just let me know. You can message me, and I will have the link to the celebration of life sent to you right away.
Excellent. I'm coming.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And
Super
it
excited.
means it means the world to me that you'll be there. So thank you so much. And thank you for just allowing me to just talk about where I have been and where I am. And I love you dearly.
I love you, T.
And my intention is to shine through the muddy waters of this grief. And that's it. Peace, love, and light. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next episode. Thanks for listening to Triple L, the Live, Love, Lotus Show. This podcast is produced by The Sacred Path as part of the Kornelia Stephanie Media Group and is supported by our amazing listeners. If you would like to support this channel, check out the links in the description below for ways that you can pledge a love gift of any kind. Your love gift will help keep these episodes coming with more positivity to your device. Deep gratitude for your support, and until next time, I'm TLotus. Peace, love, and light.